What type of test should you run? Well, after you've selected your video, the first choice you have to make is between a thumbnail, title, or a thumbnail and title test. A thumbnail test by itself is the safest test. It has the least likelihood of going poorly and the best likelihood of bringing up your video. Now, title tests are also very good, but you should always check your statistics first. If you're getting a lot of views from search, you won't want to start a title test or a thumbnail and title test, because changing the title on a YouTube video will often result in it getting re-indexed by YouTube, which basically means you no longer get your rank in search traffic that you used to have. You'll kind of have to re-earn that rank from scratch. So you want to be very careful with title and thumbnail and title tests. But unless you're getting a ton of views from search and it's like 90% of your traffic, you're probably safe to do a title test or a thumbnail and title test. I recommend title tests for most old videos because it's just the lowest effort. You're not going to have to think of a whole lot to come up with a new title, but making another thumbnail is always going to be a lot of effort. So assuming that you do go with a new title, and I'll just throw something in here, don't build a desktop app. You're given a lot of options. So what should you choose for your particular test? First off, including the original title or thumbnail or combination. I generally recommend leaving this option on unless for some reason you've explicitly added the title back. Now, if this is an old video and you think the old video is doing poorly and you just really have no love for the current title, feel free to throw it out. But in general, when you're A/B testing, you want to have this control group. You want to have the comparison of the original, because if you can't compare the original, you don't know for sure that the new one is better. So generally, you're going to want to keep this on in most scenarios unless you're 95% confident that your current title sucks and you want to get rid of it. Now, as far as speed, we recommend a daily test for any video older than a few days and an hourly test for any new videos. This is generally because if you just released a video and you have one thumbnail on day one and one thumbnail on day two, you're going to get all of the views from your subscribers on day one. So the data in the test is going to be really, really useless because it's going to always look like your first thumbnail is the best one. So to avoid this, you either want to add a delay, which will show up down here as an option if you have a video that's newer, to say delay this test by 3 days after the video gets published. But with an hourly test, you're pretty safe to run it right away. And generally, swapping by hour, you're going to get around all of the usual concerns of, oh, my audience is most active at 1 p.m. Well, we're going to show one of your thumbnails at 1 and then another thumbnail at 2. And so that should generally work out. As far as test format, you guys are only going to have two options. You're going to see classic and you're going to see consecutive. Now, the way that these work is classic is exactly what you think it is. It shows thumbnail A, then B, then thumbnail C, then thumbnail D, then thumbnail A, then B, then C, then D, and it just keeps cycling all of them. Now, a consecutive test, let's say you run a test for 16 days. It'll show thumbnail A for 4 days in a row. Then it'll show thumbnail B for 4 days in a row. Then thumbnail C for 4 days in a row. Then thumbnail D for 4 days in a row. Now, why would you want to do this? That's not really A/B testing. But the thing is, YouTube is not a perfect system. YouTube data is also not perfect. So generally, with an older video, it's actually better to just try something new and then leave it for a little while, even as long as a week. So I would recommend a consecutive test if you're doing this on an older video for pretty much anything over a couple weeks old. If it's more recent, you can try the day or hour. You can try a classic. But generally, most daily tests, you probably want to be consecutive. Most hourly tests, you probably want to be classic. But it's up to you. This is really just an option we give you because YouTube's algorithm is not perfect. And although this is called thumbnail test, it's not just for A/B testing, it's for automation and automating things that way that will actually work instead of just the way that it feels like they would work. So that option is there for you. But if you don't want to think about it, classic's always fine, classic's always safe, and you'll still get good data. It's just if you want a chance at kind of going viral, if you're really trying to make a video blow up again, then consecutive's probably where you want to be. Finally, suggested length. We always recommend 4 per thumbnail or 4 per title at least. So in this case, let's say that I'm going to include the original title and I have my one extra title. So it should be at least 4 hours per title. In this case, it's recommending 6. But if I, let's say, go back and I'm going to make it a thumbnail test instead, and then I'll go add just a whole bunch of thumbnails into here, and then swap back over. We'll see that now it's recommending 20 days, which is 4, 4, 4, 4 plus the original. If I drop the original, it goes down to 16. But you could really make this as long as you want. Just don't make it too short, because you want more data so your insight is more accurate. If you run a quick test, if you run like a 4-hour test, that might be okay, but running a 4-day test isn't going to give you a ton of insight. And finally, as far as delay, I would never recommend running a daily test the moment you launch, for all those reasons I said earlier. So if you're going to try a daily test and you really want to just leave your first thumbnail up for a little bit, delay it by probably at least 3 days. That's generally why we leave this option here, is if it's at least 3 days old, it's safe to start a daily test. If it's less, we suggest that you put some delay on it. And that's pretty much all the options. There's going to be more here. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Discord, rocks0074 with a capital R. You can join the Discord right over here.